Good evening, Robert Dunbar here from Training by Dunbar, up in the DC area. A little bit cold up here, but I'm enjoying myself in the DC area. Be doing some training tomorrow in Springfield, Virginia. And I wanted to shoot a video this evening concerning buried versus planted. Buried versus planted. And the reason why I want to shoot this video this evening is because sometimes we think that when our career, whether it be a 9-to-5, whether it be business ownership, whether you be self-employed, you could be an insurance agent, a realtor, a network marketer, the CEO of a company, or just a general employee with day-to-day things that you have to do for that company that you're responsible for. But we run into issues, or we run into challenges, or we feel like we've hit a place where we stalled in our career. And sometimes we don't realize, like back in the day, I know, for the millennials that may watch this video, you're used to phone cameras, and we love the advancement in technology with a phone camera and all the ways you can take photos and send them all over the world right now. Just in a matter of seconds. But it was at one time, for those that remember, where you used to have to get film developed in a dark room. And actually some photographers still use that method. So we know that the dark, I guess I should say the dark scene or the environment where it's dark develops the pictures. And I'm going somewhere with this. So when we're talking about planted versus buried, the question is, when you go down in the ground, in the soil, are you being planted or are you being buried, right? So I want to give you a couple of different ideas of how you can distinguish that so that you don't get yourself down. Because we know that one of the most important things when it comes to being successful, and remember, when I say success, I don't necessarily mean you run a business and you're being successful. That is a form of success. But when I say success, you could be a successful parent, a successful spouse, successful business owner, a successful employee. So it doesn't matter what area you're striving for to be successful in. When it comes to being successful, it's not about how many punches you can throw all the time. Sometimes it's about how many punches you can take. So without naming names, I'll say that there's been some athletes who have been top of the line athletes. You see them go out, they brag, they have a good game. You see them on top of their game, and you're like, you know what? This man or woman is going to be the next whoever was before them that we consider to be the greatest. So, sometimes we'll give an analogy of basketball, and we'll say, hey, this guy is going to be the next Michael Jordan. Because you see him doing all these great things, or you see her doing all of these great things. But what we miss sometimes when it comes to success is, can they take a punch? I've seen some boxers, I've seen some MMA fighters be really great on top of their game, win match after match after match, be undefeated, never get knocked down, win fights in 2 or 3 minutes, and everybody think that they're going to be the next top fighter, next top boxer. And then they get hit really hard and they go down, or they lose the fight. And once they lose the fight, it's all downhill from there. Why am I bringing these things up? Because being able to take a punch in the business world, being able to take a punch in a marriage, being able to take a punch with your family, being able to take a punch with your friends, being able to take a punch from your boss, all those things are necessary in order for you to reach a success level in whatever area that you're trying to reach a success level in. So the question is, have you been buried or have you been planted? Because if you get hit and you go down and you never get back up, then you've been buried. If you go down and you get better while you're down there and get back up sharper, stronger, more adamant, better skill set, then you've been planted. So I know by now some of you all are following this, right? I believe in the process. That's why I did 2 videos called The Process, and I'm working on a third one, working on the material for a third one. And I believe process is so important because fly-by-night people, it's great to see the success story so that you can say, hey, somebody can do this fast. But experienced business owners know that in order for you to build a strong, solid foundation and have a successful career, again, whether it's parenting, marriage, business ownership, self-employed, 9 to 5, you have to put time, effort, energy. It takes experience because you have to spend time to learn lessons. So we know that in order for a person to really be at a super successful area in life, they need to have acquired a skill set and spent some time developing that skill set. And as a fighter, a boxer, you have to know how to take a punch. You can't just be delivering the punches, because if your chin is not strong and you take a punch in that, and once the opposition finds out he's a great boxer, she's a great boxer, but they can't take a punch, then sometime your opponent is willing to let you hit them just so they can get a hit in, because they know when they hit you, you're going to fall and not get back up. And your enemies do the same thing. Your opposition does the same thing. When they know your weakness and they know that, okay, if I do this to him or her, right? If I steal their dream, right? I'm a dream stealer. My spouse is self-employed, and I want to make sure that she's not putting her business before me. So now I dream steal, because I know if I dream steal on her, then she'll stop working that business because she feels like she doesn't have my support. Now, that's not my scenario, because one, I'm not married, and two, that's just not my scenario, but that's somebody's scenario. Somebody has a dream stealer, but that dream stealer knows that when they steal your dream, that you'll move on to something else, and they don't care that you move on to something else. What they care about is that never grows more important than them. Making sense? Okay, so the same way a fighter looks at tapes before they fight that person and find out what their weaknesses are, because that's what they aim at. I've watched MMA fighters fight and know that a person has injured their leg last year, 2 years ago, and they attack that spot because they know that that's a weak part of their body, because they're trying to bury the person in that fight. And I want you to understand with your success that haters, well, we call them haters, we call them dream stealers, we got all these names for these people, but whoever they may be, could be a family member, could be a friend, could be your competition, whoever your hater is, whoever your dream stealer is, understand that if they know what your weak point is, you have to be sure that if you get knocked down, you're not buried, but you're planted. Because when you get knocked down and you're buried, guess what? You're in a dark room because you're laying down, you've got dirt thrown over you, and you're buried. The difference between being buried and planted is when you bury, you don't ever get back up. When you're planted, you get back up stronger. So think about planting a seed or burying somebody. When somebody dies, we bury them, and they never get back up. We lay them to rest. That's what we call that. But then when we plant a seed, no matter how small a seed is, we plant that seed in good soil, which is a good environment, and that seed grows. Same dark area, we laid them down, we put dirt over them, we put them in a dark room so that they could develop, and they develop stronger and better. But the person who is buried just doesn't get back up from that punch or from that knockdown or from whatever falters in your business. So you may not be an MMA fighter, right? You may not even be self-employed. Don't let something or someone knock your marriage down. Don't let someone or something knock down you being a good brother, sister, father, friend, parent, right? Because I know some people that are viewing these videos may not necessarily run a business, but I want them to understand the same concept in their life, because I want my audience to say, hey, it's not always about business, because you may have these other issues even if you do own a business. Don't let your competition bury you. It's okay that they knock you down, but make sure that you're being planted when you're knocked down, not buried. So it's important to understand, as it comes to being planted and buried, you're going to be in the same place. Remember, the dark room develops you. So when you go under the ground, under the dirt, you get knocked down, you go under the dirt, make sure you get up stronger like seed does in soil, as opposed to being laid to rest when your competition knocks you down. So Robert Dunbar here, signing off, Training by Dunbar. Are you buried or are you planted? I hope your answer is planted. See you later. Talk to you guys all soon.